Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Buffalo Bills. Fantasy football
Another
wise,
game.
look, again, we record these early. We haven't seen the Pittsburgh or the Buffalo game yet, but let's just talk about it as if everybody's healthy. I think it's a good game. Pittsburgh, Buffalo, they're good at defending what these teams want to do. So I think it's going to be an interesting tactical game. So fantasy football wise, it's a little bit tough to figure out. Roethlisberger, I love Roethlisberger. I don't love him in this matchup. I think Buffalo's really good up the sidelines, so that's tougher matchups for me for Juju and for Claypool. To me, this is a Roethlisberger to James Washington and to Deontay Johnson type game, and because of that, I think you can find better value than Ben Roethlisberger this week. I also think that the running back there, whoever is active for Pittsburgh, will have a pretty decent game. You can run on Buffalo, and actually I think you should run on Buffalo. I think that's your chance to help open some stuff up over the top. I just love Buffalo up the sidelines and defense. So like to me, it's middle of the field. That's running back. That's your guys that work out of the slot from time to time. So your fourth receivers, your third and your fourth that run kind of off the slot. That's again Washington and Deontay to me, and then Eric Ebron as well. Although I would never sit Juju or anything like that, if that's your primary receiver, I get it. I just have higher projections in the middle of the field for Buffalo. Look, we know Pittsburgh's there. Buffalo for Josh Allen, it's whether or not he can take care of the football. If he throws a lot of interceptions, that would suck, but he's going to get you running yards. He's going to be a factor. Josh Allen's a definite start for me. I'm away from the running backs. I start Stephon Diggs. Gabriel Davis and Cole Beasley should get looks as well. I like Cole Beasley better than Gabriel Davis this week, and I stay away from tight end. What do you think, David?
You're not wrong that you can attack Buffalo by running up the gut. They are ninth right now in fantasy points allowed to running backs. So it's a good matchup for the running backs, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad matchup for Ben Roethlisberger. They've allowed, what do I have here, the sixth most fantasy points to quarterbacks. So they've been even friendlier to quarterbacks than they have to running backs. And Trey White, he's a good player. I mean, can we even name another player? Micah Hyde, maybe, in that secondary?
Norman?
Like,
Josh Norman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Josh Norman hasn't been a good player in years, in my opinion. And it shows up on the stat sheet. They're not playing good defense, so I don't think you sit any of the wide receivers. Basically, every week these guys are performing. Juju has been touchdown dependent. The yardage has I don't think he has a single 100-yard game this year, Juju, so the ceiling is a little bit limited. But he seems to pretty much be getting it done almost every week. I start all three wide receivers, especially. We'll see if Connor misses another game. He's missed two now. We know he's higher risk because of his history with cancer, or was it leukemia? I forget. But
right, yeah.
They're probably gonna treat him a little bit more cautiously. He's missed two games now. Maybe misses a third. Maybe if he doesn't miss the third, they involve Benny Snell a little bit more. They've turned into a passing offense regardless. So you start all three. It's a pretty easy matchup here. You start Diggs, you start Josh Allen, you ignore the running backs, and then you do what you've done all year with your Pittsburgh wide receivers. You just keep starting them.
Yep. The line here, Pittsburgh -2.5. Now they could be still undefeated. Maybe they'll lose by the time you pick this up. I tend to think they're going to win that game against Washington fairly easily. That's my opinion. But Pittsburgh -2.5 on the road versus Buffalo. Who would you take there?
On the road, that changes because I don't know if there's fans in the stadium or a small amount, but Buffalo at home playing against a team that I think will be undefeated. It just smells like a little bit, I don't want to say trap game, but it feels like a little bit of an upset game where Buffalo nobody wants to be beaten by a team on their way to being an undefeated season and be a note mark in that history. So I'm going to take Buffalo here.
I think Pittsburgh's better at home. I think Pittsburgh wins a very close game. I'm going to take the points in this one. I'm not going to bet it. Now, if Pittsburgh ends up losing to Washington at home, I think they'll do a little bit better against Buffalo, but I have this as a 30-28 victory for Pittsburgh on the road. I really think this could go either way, and I think it comes down to the end. So it's going to be an interesting one. Last game here for us to talk about, and I should say, David, there's no way we have time to do the dynasty stuff. So let's push it to next week. Sorry, everyone. There's no way we have time to do that. We got the